ladies. All right, so last weekend we talked about the journey to joy and what it would look like to appear in your ideal January and who would be there with you, what we would all be celebrating for you. And today I want to talk about the foundation of getting there, and that's routine. And I tried to think of if there's another word besides routine. I feel like ritual is a bit heavy, habit has a negative connotation sometimes. But essentially, a routine is the actions you take on a regular basis to achieve a desired result. So I think it's perfectly fitting that we're talking about the foundation of routine to reach our goals. And it was Gandhi that said, and I'm going to have to read my notes here to make sure I get it right for you guys. But he was quoted as saying, "Your words become your actions become your habits become your values become your destiny." So I want to start at the beginning and talk about how our words become actions, actions become habits, actions or habits become values. So to reverse engineer that, next week we'll use our values to create the vision of our destiny. But today I want to just solidify what those values are and work backwards from there to the beginning steps of action. So if you guys have a notebook and pen handy, or feel free to pause this and go ahead and get some. But I want you to create a list of your values. So I think most people feel like mind, body, spirit are somewhere typically on that values list. But what are yours? I mean, is it a specific aspect of one of those? But family, community, religion, if that fits for you, impact that you want to have. It could be simple, concepts like love, joy, connectedness. So write a list of whatever comes to mind. It can be as long or short as feels right for you. But we're going to use this list of values quite a bit here in the beginning, and it should be something that you just have handy for yourself because it makes decision making really easy when you can make values-based decisions. And it also helps reach those goals that are values-based. But today I'd like you to write a list of what those values are so we can reverse engineer and look at our daily routine. So think about from the moment your eyes open in bed and your feet cross over onto the floor beside your bed, and the words that come out of your mouth, the actions you take as far as the first things you may put into your body or onto your body or do with your body. How do those relate to what your values are? And your values can be ideals. They may not be something that is currently part of your life. I mean, marriage could be a value of yours before you're married. So what is it about your daily routine that, and it might help to even go through, because a lot of our day-to-day activities are unconscious, subconscious. So maybe think about that. Maybe pause this again and write a list, an outline, a timeline of your daily routine. What does that look like? What activities does that include? And that way you can look at what your habits are. And then align that with your values. Are you saying that your body is on the list of values, that healthiness is on your list of values, yet nothing in your daily routine would show that, or possibly even negates that? If among your values is quality time with your family, but in your actual day-to-day activities that's not apparent, Just make a note of that. Don't judge yourself. There's no good and bad here. Today we are starting a program, and we are starting exactly where you are now. There's no good, there's no bad, there's no shoulda, coulda, woulda, been on a different or different path or a different location on that journey. We are starting exactly where you are today, and that is exactly where you're meant to be. So just take a look at where those values that you want to incorporate in your life may or may not meet the actions that you're taking on a daily basis in your life. And then I believe that habits cannot be erased, they can only be replaced. So if there are things that you're doing that are not supporting those values, find what you can replace them with. So if it's something you're putting in your body, find something, an alternative that you could put in your body. And habits are tricky things. So it could be at a certain time of day you crave whatever that is. And so make an intentional action that at that time of day you have whatever that alternative is available to you, so that you can choose that instead of the one that's not supporting your values. And then at the beginning of that Gandhi quote, he talks about how our words become our actions. So I am a huge advocate of journaling. Some people think better out loud. So maybe tape recorder might work for some people. If you have a close friend and you're a verbal person, maybe just talking with a close friend. But for me, it's journaling. So from that aspect is where I'll usually speak from, but do what works for you. But your words are so much a representation of, I believe a positive outlook is the product of positive language. And so if you're using language that is not supporting a positive outlook, supporting the values that you want to instill as part of your life, that's not easy to change, but there's direct tools you can use to change that. And as I was talking with one of you today, positive affirmations are a great place to start with that. Where I actually start with it is a practice I learned out of Julia Cameron's book called The Artist's Way. And she talks about morning pages. And it's really taking a journal and writing 3 full pages, non-stop, free flow, uncensored. Don't let the pen stop moving until you've written 3 full pages. And it's completely uncensored. It doesn't have to be politically correct. It doesn't have to be kind. It doesn't even have to be true. It's just a complete data dump. And I do this pretty much every morning before really anything else. And it allows me to declutter my mind with all of that gunk, so that I can make room for bigger thoughts that will actually lead to the inspired action I'm looking for towards my bigger goals. But there's so much of that stuff that builds up in there. It could have been something someone said in passing. It could have been something on your to-do list that's just not something you want to focus on, but it hasn't gone away. All of that stuff fills up space in our mind, which takes up our energy. And so I hugely am an advocate of putting it all on paper and letting it go. And what's interesting with that practice, though, is I've been doing it for several years now as part of a morning routine. And it's interesting that after a while you start to recognize your thought patterns, your mindset, your outlook, all of that starts to become apparent. And if day after day after day you start hearing yourself on paper, or with your tape recorder if that's what you choose, but saying the same things and you haven't done anything about it in a week, a month, years, whatever it is, it inspires you to take action, to do something. If it's something that you've always wanted to do and you've been saying it in this data dump every morning, like, I wish I had time for this today, eventually you're going to be like, you know what? That is what I'm going to do today. Or if every morning you're like, ugh, what I did yesterday just didn't feel good, doesn't feel good today, whatever that is, eventually you're going to be like, wow, I say that a lot. I feel that a lot. And you'll intentionally make changes based on these things that are just uncluttering your mind when you start. So give yourself permission to make it messy as you get into that habit, if that's something that you feel would work for you, resonates with you, and you choose to move forward with. But she calls them morning pages. I do my 3 pages every morning. I make it a priority that I wake up before my baby every morning. I am not a morning person by any means. I love my bed. I love sleep. I love sleeping in. I enjoy lounging. But because I am also more committed to my values and bringing those into my life, I have made this morning routine a part of my practice every day. And now that I'm a mother, it's a lot earlier than it used to be. But I wake up before my baby and take a shower, just because that's when it works for our family schedule, but then get back in bed and journal my 3 pages of data dump. And then any additional, if I have the time and the inspiration to continue writing, I'll record memories of what's happening in my life, or, try to noodle out some ideas that I'm working on, or things going on in my life that I just need to figure out. I'm big on journaling, and showering and journaling are how I clear my mind and figure things out. But I will journal, and then I'll read a couple pages of whatever inspirational book I'm currently going through at the time. I'm an avid reader. And then I will lay there in bed and in a meditative state express gratitude for, silently to myself, and then visualize what my ideal life looks like, feels like, who that woman is in that ideal version of myself. And then I will ask her what she would do to get from here, where I am in reality, to there, where she is in my ideal version of the world. And she always gives me advice of action to take, things to do, people to connect with, whatever it is. It's usually relatively small, so it's a daily action. And then when I snap out of that meditative state, I will make that a priority. So that's when reality hits you. You've got a million other things you should do that are either more important, more urgent, but I make sure to make that inspiration that came during the meditation a priority so that I move forward. So all of that said is a big description of my morning routine. And I came to those because those are the practices that work for me. However, yours may be widely different, starting with it may not even be in the morning. If your values are more around your body and health, it could be taking a walk around the neighborhood on your lunch break. It could be visiting, doing a gym workout after work in the afternoon. If your values list is more centered around family, it could be sitting around the dinner table or having no screen time for an hour, spending that quality time with your family. It could be a yoga practice, committing to a yoga class every Tuesday, Thursday. So whatever it is, it's going to be your soul that guides you towards not only what will work for you, but what is actually of interest to you based on your values. So today I invite you to write that values list. We'll use it for a lot of things, but then today to use that values list to create what you would like your routine to include. And then homework for this week, I challenge you for at least the next 7 days, depending on what your routine is. If it's a yoga class that's only every Saturday, then maybe extend that obviously beyond the 7-day window. But if it's a daily routine that you're committing to, I challenge you to commit to it for the next 7 days, so that next time we connect, not this week's meeting, but our week 2 group call, we can all support each other around what worked, what didn't work, what we were able to commit to, what was difficult, and how we want to proceed from there with that experience. So, all of that said, another thought I have on routine. I'm actually Franklin Covey certified. I don't know how many of you have heard of Franklin Covey, but that is the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And so I went through that certification process. It's been a number of years now, and it's big on planning your week before it begins. So whether that's typically most people do it on Sunday, sitting down Sunday evening, visualizing how you want that week to go at work, at home, with friends, all of that. And then making that a written plan for your week, and then tapping back into that every morning and visualizing that day going at how you want it to go, and making sure that you include those big things that you wanted to be part of your overall week, making sure that you include those in your daily activities, and making it routine to plan on Sunday, tap in every morning, and commit to a daily routine and activities and schedule to make sure that you're always fitting those big values and big goals into your daily activities. And part of that Franklin Covey process and learning how to plan your day, plan your week around those big values and big goals, you also learn to write your personal mission statement. So the last challenge I have for this week, and we can talk more about it in the group because it's not something you just jot down right away. It takes a lot of thought and tweaking, and it probably is something that by the middle of this program will be worthy to frame and hang on your wall as your personal mission statement. But give it a few weeks. But I challenge you this week, today, if you have the inspiration and the time, to write your personal mission statement. And it definitely would be based on the values that you've created in that first list. And then just a feeling of what your soul knows that you want to be your destiny in this lifetime. So it could be as simple as, I will become the person that my dog thinks I am. It could be as elaborate as, I will do this, 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 and this to change the world around me. Or to become the best version of myself, or whatever it is. Just start thinking about what it is. We'll work on it more. I know it's kind of a big task, but I invite you to write a first draft of your personal mission statement. All right? So that is the bulk of what I have for us today, and I will be available in the Facebook group if you have questions. I will be including additional posts throughout the week to give more thought to some of those concepts, and would love your engagement and participation with all of those. I'll be checking in on if you've been able to write the values list, outline your daily routine, and create a personal mission statement. So with that, I wish you all the best on your daily routine, and I will be here again with you soon. I love you.